Today we're going to talk about avocados, not just the benefits of consuming avo, but also the benefit of the avocado oil. And I'm here with Dr. Sandi Nye. She's a naturopath and she's a lover of avocados. Welcome, Sandi.
Thank you.
She wrote an article for the Natural Medicine magazine on avocados. What inspired you to write the article?
Well, I think possibly because I can't live without avo. And it's such a staple in our family. We eat avo literally every day.
What are the benefits nutritionally?
It's high in protein, which is, I think, really important if one's not eating a lot of meat. So it's great for vegetarians to have as an adjunct to their diet. It's high in fiber and it's full of lots of vitamins and minerals and some really interesting other phytonutrients like phytosterols.
Right.
So all in all, it really is a power package of nutrition.
And such an easy fruit to eat.
And totally easily digestible. So I mean, that really makes for, I think a perfect meal. And we eat avo for breakfast about 6 days a week.
Wow.
Avos and free-range eggs. And then you can ring the changes and add some beans to it or other things that you want to. But that's a staple in it. You don't feel heavy after that. It's a light meal, it's nutritious,
It's
lots
filling.
of protein, so it keeps one going for most of the day until lunchtime again.
Yeah, it's very
When we
filling.
might have more avo.
Westphalia brought out a range of avocado oil, and the flavors are lemon, butter, garlic, and then plain. And I'm wondering, what are the differences between avocado oil and olive oil?
The differences are simple in some aspects because as far as their fatty acid profiles go, they're pretty similar. The mono-unsaturated fatty acid profile, they're both about 70+%, which is really great and nice, healthy fat for us to have. Their saturated fat content, more or less the same as well. And then same for their poly-unsaturated, which is low. And I think the major difference for me is in flavor. Because I've used the plain avocado oil nutritionally, and it hasn't got a strong flavor, especially the refined one. So it doesn't really interfere that much with what else one is using it with, but you get the bang for your buck with the nutrition.
Yes, which is important to note because you cannot make essential fatty acids. You've got to supplement with it or take it through an oil over your salad or in your food.
And you can do that with olive as well, but not everyone likes the strong taste of olive. So I think that's why avocado oil is becoming quite popular for food and to add to salads, to cook with it, and also for cooking. The flash point.
Please tell me about that.
Well, with the flash point, or it's called a smoke point, really. The lower it is, the more at risk you are for creating carcinogenic compounds if you're using it to heat it excessively. And the smoke point for avo is higher than for olive.
So what you're saying practically is you can heat it up a little bit higher,
yes, you can.
on a higher heat than olive, and you wouldn't cause the free radical.
No, you wouldn't cause that. And I think it goes to about between 250 and 270 degrees Celsius, which is high because you're cooking it or frying at about 180. So there's a good safety margin there as far as the smoke point goes. And people, do want to use either a healthy oil like coconut oil for frying, or now they have an alternative with avo as well. And if you're using the refined one, there really isn't much of a flavour, so it doesn't impinge on the flavours of the rest of whatever you're cooking.
Do you know if there's a shelf life benefit to avo as opposed to olive oil?
As far as I'm aware, both have a pretty good shelf life, about 12 months plus. So I think,
you wouldn't need to leave this in the cupboard for 12 months.
Leave it. And you can also, you'll find if you put both olive and avo in the fridge, sometimes it will sediment out a bit and solidifies. But as soon as you take either of them out, a bit like coconut, when the temperature rises, then they liquefy again. So there's nothing wrong with your oils if they do form this little bit of, sort of solid sediment at the bottom. It's just the fatty acids.
What is the benefit of fatty acids?
The fatty acids are really good for a lot of our functions in the body. But if we're looking particularly at some of the phytonutrients, that's where I think one finds a slight benefit for me using avo oil. If you're looking at the phytosterols and the vitamin K content and the fiber, which is also really quite important in those avos, not just in the oil, but avo as a fruit. And both avos and olives are pressed from fruit, not from seeds or nuts. So I think that's also an important consideration for nutrition. And cold pressed oil.
Sandi, you mentioned phytosterols, but isn't that particularly important in men's health?
It really is for men, particularly when it comes to their prostate health, and also for something like male pattern baldness.
Okay.
So it's good for the hair.
So you can put it on your bald head and hopefully your hair will go back.
Well, some people do actually use it as a topical, but I'm talking about it as an oil or fruit internally. And that's to do with certain enzymes that block the conversion of testosterone into another testosterone product with a long name. I don't know if you want me to go into that.
It's not necessary for the technical side, because I think all the men that will go shopping will now grab avo instead of olive, which I'm sure they can give it a try.
Yeah, they certainly can. And I think as far as the hair grows, it's the same for women. You know, women also get female pattern baldness.
Sure.
So it's all around good.
I think the women will buy it for the men, though.
Well, it's good for their skin too, but we can talk about that at some point.
And folate?
For the folate, it's really good because it's got a decent supply of vegetable-based folate, which you have to get from other foods, you know, lots of green leafy veg and tomatoes and all sorts of food. For neural tube defects, it's good for people who are pregnant, you know, to prevent miscarriage.
Okay.
It's really helpful. Folate also very good for depression. So, you know, if you're supplementing, that's the ideal. Get it in your food rather than starting to take additional supplements if you can. And when the avos are abundant, there's really no reason not to. And if you don't like avo, using an avo oil is a lovely alternative because it doesn't have a strong peppery flavour. It's delicious, nutritious.
Well, I really appreciate you sharing with us, and thank you so much. And we're going to go and make some mayo and some pesto now.
Sure, let's do that.
Thanks, Sandi.